What's going on, everybody? Wednesday, hump day. No hump day for me. I don't have a 9 to 5. I have a when I open my eyes to when I close my eyes. Never stop. Figured I'd hang out with y'all this morning, have a little live chat, kind of like a podcast, right? I like doing these, they're fun. So I figured I'd have my coffee with you guys. Actually, I'm double fisting here. Coffee, wheatgrass. And then I figured we would just hang out for a little while. So I want to start off telling you guys everything I've got going on. There's a lot I have going on. So much on my plate right now. A lot of different projects. App. Not only my app, but I have another app in development. Very excited to bring those out very soon. Also working on my website right now, of course, redoing that. And funny thing about my website, got DDoS'd again this morning. Again. So I thought my web dude had Cloudflare up and working, but guess not. I'm have to look into that. Working on a podcast too. Get that up and running eventually. So do podcasts maybe weekly. And then documentary. Working on a documentary right now. Be filming that over the next couple months. And speaking of documentaries, the first one that I was working on, Above Majestic, that we're finished with, that'll be out in 4 weeks. 4 weeks, coming out on October 31st. And I'm still getting questions on where can you view it. It's basically going to be on every platform that's not Netflix. So it's going to be on iTunes, Amazon, Xbox, Google Play, maybe. Those are the major platforms it's going to be on, so you'll be able to see that October 31st, Above Majestic. Let's see here. This weekend, I'll be in Irvine, California at the Portal to Ascension Conference. I actually have, it's looking like 3 speaking events all before the end of this year, with Irvine this weekend being one, and then a couple of other ones I'm going to announce soon exactly where and when those are at. What else? YouTube videos, still doing those. Then I got a little side project I'm working on. It's a song. I want to work on a song. Why not? Rap song, just because I like writing lyrics. I like playing with words. So shout out to Corticon and the producers and the songwriters that he works with. I'm going to have them send me a beat and get started on that just a creative outlet. So that'll be fun. So yeah, man, I got a lot of stuff on my plate right now. So apologize if I don't get these YouTube videos out every single day, but I'm working on it. So let's go ahead and get into some of the new stuff. And then after that, I'll just open it up to questions. We can talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. If you want to talk about health, got a lot of information up on my head. I'd love to offer you guys about that. We can talk about space. We can talk about Q. We can talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. UFOs, somebody said. Totally. We can get there. Anyway, let's start with, well, today being October 3rd, we have the emergency alert test that we're waiting on. That's why I wanted to do this live video this morning, because I didn't want to interrupt that or have that interrupt my phone here. Funny, did you guys see the lawsuit that they were trying to bring forward to stop that emergency alert test? They were trying to cite the First Amendment as if for some reason that was going to stop this emergency broadcast alert. I don't know how that would even do that, but they're trying everything. They're trying everything they can to stop the Great Awakening and stop the exposing of the deep state, aren't they? And speaking of things they're trying to do to stop that, how about that ricin incident yesterday? Envelopes with a white powdery substance sent to the White House, sent to Trump, sent to Secretary of Defense James Mattis, and sent to Admiral John Richardson. So that brought some serious flashbacks back to the anthrax scares, 15 years ago or something like that? Ridiculous. And Ted Cruz's office, too. All these white powdery substances being sent out everywhere. Huh. What a coincidence, right? What a freaking coincidence. Kavanaugh, we can discuss Kavanaugh. I mean, what much do we really have to discuss there? It's like every single accuser coming out, their story is just imploding. And Q's been way showing, pointing us as to how exactly these accusers are just so into the swamp, all these crazy connections. And I'm even seeing all these letters getting sent out, even sent to the Senate, of like ex-boyfriends and people associated with these accusers that are all saying that their stories are nonsense. And I mean, these letters are getting sent to the Senate, and yet mainstream media is completely ignoring all of that. Convenient on their end. How about a bunch of CEOs stepping down over the past couple of days? I've got 3 CEOs here, and these are big companies. We've got Pfizer, the Pfizer CEO stepping down. He's saying that he's not going to return after the end of the year. So that's great news. Goodbye, Big Pharma, right? I'm more than happy for that to happen. Pepsi's CEO stepping down. After 12 years, she's been there for 12 years, she's stepping down. And then I saw the CEO of General Electric stepping down too. That's some big companies, guys. Those are some really big companies for the CEOs to be stepping down from. So add those names to the list of how many hundreds, if not over 1,000, thousands of people, board directors, CEOs, prominent officials that are all stepping away. And then the very last thing I just want to mention here really quick is, how about that New York Times hit piece on Trump that came out yesterday? They're trying to get him for alleged tax evasion from like 10 years ago or something like that. The 90s, I think, 20 years ago. All these, quote, alleged tax evasion schemes that he was a part of. But reading the article, there was nothing. There was no sauce in there, as they would say on 8chan, right? All it said was, according to this report, what report? According to these documents received, what documents? According to scanning of them and blah, 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 or sources, like what sources? Of course, there was just no actual sauce. There was nothing in there that made any sense. It was just this hit piece circulating around now. Again, every stop they can pull, they're trying to. These white powdery substances in the letters, lawsuit trying to stop the emergency alert test, New York Times hit piece, all this nonsense going on, man. It's crazy week, and it's only Wednesday morning. I'm interested to see what's going to happen the rest of the week, because as I think, what was it, Mitch McConnell said, the Kavanaugh vote is going to happen this week, and then Q putting out a nice little drop the other day with what looked like to be a vote count. It said 53-47. And that's all it said. So totally looks like a vote count. If that's the vote count that we get today or later this week or whenever they do vote on Kavanaugh, it's quite a Q proof right there. Quite the Q proof. Cool. I mean, that's really all I had written down on my notepad right here. So I'm going to go ahead and just, let's talk. Let's talk for a little while. What kind of questions you guys got for me? What topics do you want to get into? Somebody said, check out Mr. MBB333. I like that YouTube channel. There's a handful of YouTube channels I watch every so often that have to do with space weather, atmospheric phenomena, UFOs even, all kinds of different things like that, the electric universe. And Mr. MBB333 is one of them. Suspicious Observers, highly suggest that YouTube channel for space weather news and electric universe science. I used to watch him daily years ago, a couple years ago. I still watch his videos every so often, but not quite as much as I used to. And then Dabu's always a badass channel to go watch. But I'll go check out Mr. MB3 because that comment said something about a cloaked TR3B, which sounds interesting. I sure like researching about the TR3Bs and the science behind how they operate. And speaking of that, I saw this video on Facebook yesterday of a UFO sighting that, watching and listening to this video, looked completely legit. I mean, the guy in the video was taking it with his phone, and it was this ring of lights in the sky. This might be the same video you're talking about. I don't know if it is on Mr. MB3's channel, but anyway, I saw this on Facebook, and it was a ring of lights in the sky. It was a cloudy day, so it was in the clouds, and it kept fading in and out. And this guy that was taking the video was like, "This isn't fake." He pointed the video camera towards his kids. It was in like a, looked like he was in the parking lot of a grocery store because his kids were in the shopping cart. And his kids were even looking up at it like, what the heck's going on? It sounded like his wife was in the background like, well, look at that. So in context, totally doesn't look fake. And this ring of lights was just going in and out, like fading in, fading out. So I don't believe that report going around that claims that UFO sightings are on the decline, if you've seen that one. I've seen it in the mainstream media. They're trying to claim that, oh yeah, UFO sightings have just dropped off a cliff and we're not getting them anymore. I don't believe that at all. I've seen all sorts of videos and on Facebook and YouTube, etc., of sightings. And shoot, I've had my own sightings past few months too. So I don't believe about that. Sightings are not on the decline, only reporting, somebody said. Totally, I believe that. And they probably want you to think that UFO sightings are on the decline, don't they? They want you to get this stuff out of your head. Woo! Where's my mods? Looks like we need some mods in this room. Let's see here. Let me do some control cleansing real quick. There we go. Talk structured water. Ooh, it's a good topic. So structured water. Yeah. Where do we even start with that one? So I guess I could say that when it comes to water, all the water we drink out of bottles and taps and all that, it is literally dead water. Look at Dr. Emoto's studies, and his studies showed that water is it's an electrical conductive substance, but not only that, it holds our intentions, because your thoughts are electric. Your thoughts have an electromagnetic nature to them, and it extends outside of your head, okay? That's the phenomena of consciousness there. So when talking structured water, you can structure water with various mechanisms. You can use orgonite or crystals, things like that, but you can also use three-dimensional physics, toroidal physics, and by that I mean you can actually find devices that you can run water through that vortex the water at very specific sacred geometrical ratios, three-dimensional sacred geometric ratios, and it will essentially it'll electrically enhance the water. So when you drink it, much more life force for you. You can water your plants with structured water, and there's studies done that show structured water can increase the basically the growth of the plant by 3- or 4-fold even. And the fruit that you get from watering plants with structured water is like massive, much larger than you would often have just with, basic water out of the hose and whatnot. So yeah, I don't have a water structurizer, unfortunately. I have a purifier, get all the fluoride and whatever the heck else is in water out of it. But I need to work on getting a structurizer. Here's a question here on To the Stars and Tom DeLonge. Do I think Tom DeLonge knows who he was working with, or if he knows who these people really are? I hope he is just wholly ignorant as to the connections that he has and who he's associated with in working, It's funny because when I was younger, Tom DeLonge was my favorite musician. I was a teenager. I was super into Blink-182. Once Blink-182 broke up in 2003, and then Tom went to start Angels and Airwaves in 2005, That was my favorite band, dude. I even went to an Angels and Airwaves show in 2005 in Seattle, and I met Tom DeLonge backstage at a meet and greet. And that was like huge for me. And now just the way the crazy universe works, who would have thunk that 10, 15 years later, here I am talking about Tom DeLonge in a completely different way. And yeah, I really hope that he just doesn't know how he's being used or who he's really working with. But there's some weird connections there, man. Some really weird dots of information to connect. Tom DeLonge with his Freemason symbols on his guitar. And Tom DeLonge's got a business called, it's a hot dog stand business in San Diego, I believe, called R2 Dogs. And I mean, okay, that sounds innocent, could be innocent. But again, in context of who he's working with, Podesta, and what they mean when they say hot dogs. Again, I really, really pray that he just doesn't know. Flu shot info. It's a good topic. So, flu shots. I saw in a Twitter account yesterday, an anonymous Twitter account. Anonymous being like the organization Anonymous. And it said, get your flu shot. That's all it said. And if you needed any more evidence that Anonymous was compromised, or at least some groups or accounts that claim to be affiliated with Anonymous are compromised, there you go. Don't go get your flu shots, guys. Don't go. Not only do you have aluminum in your flu shots, yes, many of them still have mercury. You even have nanoparticles that are in flu shots. This isn't disclosed on the label, and most doctors probably even don't know this, but there was a study done last year, 2017, I believe. You can look at this on greenmedinfo.com. I love that website for health information, greenmedinfo. I saw this study reported there where it was found in Italy. They studied a whole bunch of vaccines in Italy, and they found that literally every single human vaccine they studied had nanoparticles in there. And then they studied a couple animal vaccines. The nanoparticles weren't in the animal vaccines. They were only in the human vaccines. So what's the agenda behind that? How did they get in there? Who put them in? And for what purpose? You can reconcile that on your own. But yeah, heavy metals, nanoparticles, mycoplasma. That's a great rabbit hole to go down. Go look into mycoplasma. Little bioengineered warfare agents. There's a doctor on YouTube called his name's Dr. Garth Nicholson. Was he a biochemist? Or anyway, he was a really, really well-renowned scientist out of California, and he started studying these vaccines, and he studied mycoplasma. He found that vaccines were Mandela effect. I'll get to that question in a second for sure. Mandela effect is fascinating stuff, and it's actually really simple in my eyes. But these vaccines were contaminated with mycoplasma, and these mycoplasma many of them could be bioengineered, and they are basically little parasitic microbacterium that get into us, and they attach themselves to our red blood cells, and mycoplasma will suck the cholesterol out of our red blood cells in a parasitic fashion. So, and these mycoplasma are very tough to test for. You have to do very specialized, I believe, like blood plasma test to see if they are in you or how much they are in you. But yeah, mycoplasmas and vaccines. I would say mycoplasmas are probably sprayed over our heads in chemtrails too. But just don't go get any sort of flu shot, nothing. Reject the poison. And you don't even sign the consent form. Like oftentimes in the doctor's offices, if you reject vaccines or you reject vaccines for your little ones, they'll try to make you sign this consent form. Don't even do that. You don't need to. The doctor has no control over you. Nobody has control over you but yourself, right? You're your own sovereign human being on this earth. So make your own choices. Be smart. Could mycoplasma be causing the dementia? So when it comes to causes of diseases, think of it this way. There's many different causes for a particular disease because everything in our body is connected. Every single system, every single organ and gland, they all work together. Our body is a holistic unit. So when it comes to dementia, there's so many different causes. Heavy metals, electromagnetic radiation. You know, we could talk about 5G if you guys want to. There's bad food. There's your own thought processes. There's just so many different things to look at. But there's also the symptom, okay? How can I get into this? Let's talk about candida for a sec. So body fungus. Fungus in your body, such as candida, is a cause of many issues, but it's also a symptom of bad habits and an unhealthy lifestyle. So anything in our body, this is the way I view it, is both a cause and a symptom, right? So if you have inflammation, for instance, inflammation is a cause of all sorts of things, cause of pain, cause of low immune system, but the inflammation is also a symptom. So you have inflammation because something is off, right? So don't view everything so black and white. I mean, this can be said for so many different topics and in so many different regards, but in terms of your health, don't think of it so black and white. So we can bring back vaccines and, for instance, autism into this picture. Yes, vaccines lead to autism. It's kind of a easy critical thinking test right there. Yeah, you inject heavy metals into yourself and whatever other preservatives and nanoparticles are in there, you're going to get neurodevelopmental dysfunction, right? But there's also many other causes of neurodevelopmental dysfunction like autism. Yes, the heavy metals, but there's also the food, there's also the Wi-Fi, and like I said, there's all sorts of causes for different diseases, okay? So that's why when it comes to health and knowing yourself, it's a deep, deep subject. It takes a long time to really learn. It's pretty pathetic when you go into the doctor's office for some sort of issue and they hand you a one-sided paper, a one-sided questionnaire. This is all I need to know about you. Well, that's because they're not studying preventative medicine. They're just going to give you a pill and send you on your way so they can get their cut. You're not going to figure out the root cause of issues with a one-sided questionnaire. When I used to health coach and personal train, I literally made up my own questionnaire that was 15 pages long. It was 15 pages because I had to get to know my client. I had to get to know every single little aspect about my client. I had to get to know what they were drinking, what they were eating, when they were drinking it, when they were eating it, how their lifestyle was, what their history was, their whole history. I mean, we're going through work history, we're going through relationship history, we're going through what they've been exposed to in their life, we're going through what kind of medications they're taking, we're going through what kind of nutritional supplements they're taking, right? It's complex. Like we are complex beings. So that's what I have to say about that. Now I want to talk about the Mandela effect. So, shifting topics. Let me take a drink first. Load up with my, only a little bit of caffeine in here. Also got mushrooms, not magic mushrooms, medicinal mushrooms, cordyceps and reishi. I've got some fulvic acid in there, and I've got some ormus. I'm gonna have some ormus up on my website when I get that launched in a store. Really excited. So, okay, Mandela effect. Really, really simple, guys. Really, really simple. When it comes to the Mandela effect, all that is showing you is that our thoughts influence space, and they also influence time. Our thoughts influence their reality, okay? But I want to take it a step deeper because you often hear that new age jargon, oh yeah, your thoughts create your reality. It's not so simple like that. I like to specify and say our co-creative thoughts shape our reality. So like I mentioned earlier, our thoughts have an electromagnetic component to it. And everything in space and time is connected in this electric universe, right? So all of our brains are synced up, whether we realize it or not. When we begin to realize it, that's when the strength of that connection begins to strengthen. Strengthen, that connection begins to strengthen. And the ability to influence reality, the ability to influence space and time also strengthens. So it's our co-creative consciousness that influence our reality. And that's it. That's all the Mandela effect is. So a lot of people are flipping out about it and curious about it, which is good. I mean, they're starting to delve into these topics, but it's really that simple. But granted, I mean, if you're, depending on where you're at in your awakening process, it can be pretty shocking to realize that, oh my God, there's this collective consciousness out there that we're all tapped into, and we can influence our reality with that. I mean, it's a big topic, but reality is fluid. Mandela effect equals reality is fluid. Yes, absolutely. Our reality is totally fluid. Somebody mentioned earlier, I saw in one of the super chats, about a meetup in Seattle. I don't have any plan. I mean, like I mentioned, I got so much stuff on my plate right now that I would love to do a meetup in Seattle, but I just can't go about scheduling it or organizing it myself. I will say one of the things that I want to plan is a retreat event at ECETI Ranch next year, maybe in May. So it could be like a 3, 4, 5 day, like a long weekend retreat with myself, maybe Eric Rains, if you're familiar with who Eric Rains is, and possibly a couple other people from around the Northwest. But I want to hold a gathering at ECETI. That would be amazing. Somebody commented, I love you guys. We are changing the world. Shout out to all those digital soldiers out there. Digital soldiers. Someone said schools require vaccines. How do I protect my kids? Schools, there's always exemptions, okay? Many states have philosophical exemptions. If you're not in one of those states, religious exemptions. Just claim it's your religion. It's against my religion to harm my temple being my body, right there. So there's always ways to get out of it. Electric universe theory is life, somebody said. And then the next comment says, do I believe in God? I do believe in God. I have such, how do we want to call it? I don't want to say out there, but alternative, different perspectives on the way the world works, right? And it triggers a lot of people sometimes when I start talking about spirituality or God or consciousness and these sorts of things. God to me is not some anthropomorphic figure that's up there in the sky judging you, that's going to send you to hell if you don't believe in him. And, I don't even see God as some savior figure that's going to come down and save us. That's not how I see it. God to me, I could throw many names out there for it. The electric universe, the collective consciousness, the divine intelligence that shapes our cosmos. That is God to me. And how I honor God is through the work I do. I don't go sit in a building and give some probably corrupt people my money every Sunday to honor God. It's not how I do it. I honor God by loving people, by sharing truth, or my truth at least, by trying to wake people up. That's the great work that I'm doing. And that is God to me. I think there's a lot of religious dogma out there that's still infecting people's heads. It's intriguing to me to see how many people are waking up to the fact that, yes, the Vatican is horribly corrupt. There's a lot of corruptness in organized religion, but they still have a tough time getting that dogma out of their head. A lot of this religious dogma is based in fear. They want you scared. They want you scared. A lot of people, they cling to this religious dogma because they feel they need to be saved, or they feel that, they want some force to come down and fix what's going on this planet. God's not going to save you. God is giving you the opportunity to save yourself, right? That's how I see it. And I'm not denying Jesus Christ. You know, that's people get triggered and then assume what I'm saying and go on all this stuff. But no. The cosmos, the universe, the divine creator, God, whatever you want to call it, it's giving you every opportunity to save yourself. You just have to choose it, right? Most people pray to God from the standpoint of a victim. And that's what the Vatican wants. That's what the deep state wants. They want you to play that victim card, because then you're not standing in your own power, in your own sovereign being, and making the initiative to save yourself. The universe is under no obligation to make sense to you. I like that comment. And that's the case. I mean, we're trying to understand the way this cosmos operates, but it's so complex that's kind of the point, is that we're never going to completely understand it. We just try. We try and try and try. And we choose to try to understand it. When will Trump end the wars? That's an interesting question. I think the wars going on now are far different than they were 4 years ago, even 10 years ago. You know, for instance, the war on ISIS. The war on ISIS under Obama was like a never-ending shtick. Well, the reason being is because the same people claiming to be fighting ISIS were the ones shuttling them money and resources and guns. Now it's a completely different ball game. Now, with the good guys, the alliance in charge, the wars are, you know, we're not funding these people anymore. It's not an endless charade going on. The war is now us against them. Parentheses, 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 them, right? If you get what I'm saying there. Space Force news. Haha, Space Force. I check Google every day to see if there's new bits of information coming out there about the Space Force, and there's still a lot of opposition to it. A lot of opposition. I'm seeing a lot of articles in the mainstream media claiming it's going to be some bureaucratic nonsense. Don't do it. It's going to cost a bunch of money. It's going to be useless because the Air Force already has command in space, blah, blah, blah. But, of course, that's not the reason that the Space Force was created. The Space Force was created to gain access to these unacknowledged programs, the secret space programs that have already been in existence for decades, and begin disclosing them. Ooh, how's the QMAP analysis video come in there? Good question. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe I'll work on that today. After this, I'll work on just going through these QMAPs. I don't like to call them QMAPs necessarily because they haven't been officially confirmed by Q. So this one here is the Great Awakening map made by a dude named Champ. And this one here is called the Deep State Mapping Project made by a dude named Dylan. So they're technically not QMAPs. I don't like to call them that. But they are fascinating pieces of work with a lot of keywords on there. Let's see here. Hashtag White Hat Movement. I like that one. Does the Alliance have a backup plan if Kavanaugh is not chosen? I'm sure they have backup plans to their backup plans to their backup plans. You know, it's not... And I've seen a lot of people question Kavanaugh. You know, Kavanaugh's got all these ties to the Bushes and the Patriot Act and was doing all this stuff in the 2000s. Like, he's swamp, people are saying. Well, again, not so black and white. Think of it this way. I trust the plan. I trust the fact that good is overcoming evil right now. That God is winning. That there are good people on the inside in the military that are in control now. They are in control. So, okay, you could say Kavanaugh is a swamp because he has these connections to Bush. Well, what if Kavanaugh was under duress when he was working for Bush during those years? Maybe he had no idea what he was getting into. And he might know where the bodies are buried. That's why they chose him. Maybe he doesn't want to do that anymore and he wants to work for this alliance now, right? Again, with the way that the alliance is in control, there's going to be no people getting into important positions that aren't going to be there to work for the plan, right? Okay, maybe they were in the swamp, maybe they've done some bad things in the past, but they're making amends for that now, right? Or the alliance is using these particular ties for some way. Maybe many in the alliance are defectors. That's a great point, and that point has been thrown around for years now, is that many of these white hats used to be black hats. They're just sick of the game anymore. Okay? And that's exactly the case. I believe with many of them is they were probably in some bad networks in the past, but they're just sick of it. So closed solar observatory. They may have found some deep state communication devices. Yeah, still don't know what's going on with that solar observatory. It's back up and running now, I believe, but it was closed for a little while there. That's my most likely thought in my head, is that maybe it was some sort of espionage by rogue intelligence agency or foreign enemy, whatever the case is. I think that's why the observatory was closed. There was that news article that was released that was claiming it was one of the workers there downloading child porn or something like that, but I don't know. It doesn't really make that much sense to me with everything that went on with that observatory. I mean, they made a huge fuss about it. It was closed down for like a week. I don't know. I don't know there, man. What do I think about the Earth being hollow? Somebody asked. I particularly think the Earth is a honeycomb. So I think, yes, we live on a spherical spinning ball, maybe a little oblong, maybe not completely spherical. It spins, but I think inside the Earth there are caverns. And it has somewhat of like a kind of a honeycomb shape to it where you can get down in there. Expanding Earth theory too, not just hollow Earth or honeycomb Earth, but expanding Earth. Good point, Justin. Very good point. Expanding Earth. I don't remember who scientifically researched this, but if you actually make the Earth a little bit smaller, then all of the continents fit together perfectly, like a puzzle. And then when you expand the Earth, when you grow that sphere, that's how the continents move away from each other. Because I believe there's many more... I did really good in geology in college, but I drank a lot in college, so I killed off a lot of those brain cells. Went Kavanaugh on that beer. But there's more, could we say, zones where the continents or continental plates are drifting away from each other and stuff's coming up than they are subducting under each other. Here's a really good question that I will answer. What things do I not believe about Corey Goode? So, quite honestly, it took me a long time to come around to him and his testimony. I became familiar with him right when he came out in 2014-15. I was following the Stillness in the Storm blog and Dr. Sala and David Wilcock, so you know, I was following his stuff heavily in 2015 and 16, and it took, I mean, it's such an expansive testimony and story that you're just like, what the hell is this guy even talking about, right? You're like, is this even true? What the heck? And I'm a open-minded skeptic. I'm very open-minded, but stuff has to make logical sense to me for me to believe it. Once I met Corey last year, and I began to get my intuitive sense of him, and also see the fact that Corey Goode, yes, has insider alliance sources. And recently, the fact that Corey was slipped those DIA documents somehow by someone on the inside. Why would they choose to slip them to him, of all people, right? Why are inside sources looking at Corey legitimately like that? So there must be something to his testimony. And that wouldn't have happened if there wasn't. So I'm not going to say I don't believe anything, but yeah, I do. I do believe his testimony. Someone said Corey might be CIA. No, not at all. He is not CIA. Trust me. And I'll tell you, I don't know if I think I have said this before, but I think it was the second or third time I met Corey. I actually went to his house when he used to live in Dallas, Texas. And we were hanging out at his house outside in his backyard. And there was this C-130 Air Force jet that circled over the house 5 times. And it circled so low that I could see, I actually have this, I have it on video. I could see the U.S. Air Force painted on the underside of the wing. And where he lived in Dallas, there's no Air Force base for miles. The closest military anything to where Corey used to live in Dallas was a naval air station. It was a naval air station that was about 40 miles away. And like I said, this C-130 Hercules tanker, those were big-ass jets, 4 times. Did circles right over us, right over our head. Could see it go off in the distance. About 5 minutes later, right over our head again. Dude, it was nuts. I'm like, this is not an accident. And it was crazy. Corey pointed up at this building that was kind of off in the distance that you could see the windows of. And he was like, they used to watch me from there. I like look over, like shit. That was like 5 months into me doing the YouTube thing and like getting into all this. And I'm just like, So yeah, there's some people that take him seriously. So, and these people are important, well-connected people. So I'm going to take him seriously. All right, what kind of other questions we got? Hang out for a few more minutes. Even if his name was Corey Bad, I would still trust him. That's the thing, guys. Just get your intuitive sense of people. Like when it comes to Corey, he doesn't shy away from talking about the dark issues that many people in the ufology community do. He mentions human trafficking. He mentions Q. In my opinion, that's one of the reasons why the insiders take Corey seriously. And he's grown a lot. He has grown so much. He's getting healthy. He's totally changed his diet. He's lost a lot of weight. Like I said, he's not scared to talk about those issues that need to be talked about. And dude, it's like, I'll kind of go off philosophically here in my own rant. I think Corey was chosen by particular beings to be contacted and bring out his story because of how many people it would trigger. It's like we're in the age of mass triggering because so many people are stuck in their belief systems that they need to be triggered out of them. So that's shit. That's why Trump's president. Trigger the hell out of people. Wake them up. That's why Q busted onto the scene in October last year. Trigger the heck out of people. Waking up. Show them things they don't normally see. That's why Corey was contacted 3-4 years ago and told to bring his story forward because he was going to trigger a particular section of people. Right? So, yeah, dude, there is a massive increase in the amount of discrediting campaigns and attacks and trolls going online, especially now. I mean, over the past year or two, definitely, but especially now. There are so many that I'm noticing. They go into the comments section of YouTube. They're even going onto my Facebook page. Twitter, there's a bunch of them. You've got your talking heads that have YouTube channels that are out there specifically trying to discredit people and cause discord and division. It's nuts. Are the books just for appearances, or am I making reading suggestions? Both! Check out Ken Rolla on YouTube. Yeah, Ken Rolla. He's good. He's really good. I need to set you up as a mod. Usually I don't like being told what to do, but okay. I'll cave. Ketogenic diet. I keep seeing that one. Ketogenic diet. Okay, let's talk about that one. So when it comes to dieting, again, not so black and white, I'm a big fan of an idea called metabolic typing. There's a book called The Metabolic Typing Diet, written by, I believe his name is William Walcott, if I'm getting that one correct. Anyway, essentially, all of our bodies are different. All of our bodies are different. All of our metabolic rates are different. The nutrients that we might particularly need might be different from person to person. So to try to fit everybody into one diet, say, yeah, the ketogenic diet, that's the one. The Atkins diet, the North Beach, South Beach diet, the frickin' paleo diet. It doesn't work like that because we're all different. We all have different metabolic rates, different bodies. We all have different lifestyles. Like I eat meat. I eat eggs. I don't eat a lot of meat. 90% of the time I'm vegetarian, but sometimes if I'm lifting heavy weights or I'm a little more active or my lifestyle warrants it, I'll eat some meat. I lift heavy ass weights in the gym. That's how I deal with emotionally a lot of the shit going on in the world. And if I didn't eat meat, man, my body would just like deteriorate. And I've tried it before. It just doesn't work for me. It does not work for me. Flexitarian. I'm flexitarian. So yeah, I'm not a fan of labeling in any regard. Don't label your diets because you're boxing yourself in. Don't label your belief system. Don't label yourself this ism, that ism, this ist, right? Because you're just boxing yourself in with whatever it is. So when it comes to diet, I'm going to save that talk for a separate YouTube video I've been meaning to do on the whiteboard. Dude, Chris. Yes, on the fitness side and masculine spirit, check out Elliot Hulse. I absolutely agree. And funny enough, that dude was a massive inspiration to me when I was going through my awakening in about 2013. Because I was really going through a hard time, a dark night of the soul. And like many of you guys know, I used to work in the fitness industry and the nutrition industry and whatnot. So as I was going through this dark night of the soul, waking up to all these conspiracies and just freaking everything, I came across Elliot Hulse's YouTube channel. And dude, I would watch his videos every day. Not only for the massive amount of health and fitness knowledge that he was putting out there, but also the personal development, self-development knowledge. And I mean, dude, it was a huge synchronicity for me in 2013 because I was reading David Wilcock's Synchronicity Key. And in that book, David's talking about Joseph Campbell. Talking a lot about Joseph Campbell. This Joseph Campbell. This guy. And at the very same time, Elliot Hulse, in his YouTube channel, was also talking about Joseph Campbell. So I was like, whoa, what a synchronicity right there, right? And that's why those two people, at that point in my life, in 2011, 12, 13, David and Elliot, huge influences on me. One reason I started this YouTube channel was because of Elliot Hulse. I saw what he was doing, helping people, getting information out there, educating people, inspiring them, and I'm like, I want to do that on YouTube. But with, of course, a lot of the higher consciousness disclosure topics. A what? Seattle moderator volunteer. Heck yeah, man. Western Washington, what up? It's not that bad here. No, I know a lot of people are scared of Seattle because of how, like, politically militant it is, but just avoid Seattle. Like, Western Washington is great. There's so many wonderful areas around here. The mountains and the water and the trees. Just don't go to Seattle. You don't need to go there. Here was a good question. Why do I never admit when my propaganda turns out to be real fake news? I do. I totally admit when I get something wrong or thought something was the case. I'm an open book, guys. Authentic. Will Trump or Q disclose? Disclose what? That's my question. Disclose what? On Stellar, what's my take? Those guys are cool, man. I like On Stellar. I'm going to start using that platform a little bit more and repost them, a lot of my stuff there. The thing is, I'm not heavily using many of these alternative platforms like Gab or BitChute or On Stellar right now because they are echo chambers. And that's not to put down those platforms in any way, shape, or form. They're all great platforms. I have accounts on all of them just in case my big tech accounts get canned. But the thing is, with these videos, with this information we're trying to put out there, we're trying to reach the normies. We're trying to reach the people who aren't woke yet. So how much are we going to be able to do that if we just talk to everybody that already gets it on Gab or on Stellar, right? So, you know, I'm all for people migrating off of Facebook and off of Twitter and off of YouTube, but at the same time, we still need to be using these platforms because that's where everybody's at. That's where everybody we're trying to reach is at. So right now, I'm dipped in both of them. Do I believe Bob Lazar's testimony? Claims to have worked on saucers, Element 115. I think he worked at Area 51, he so claimed. As far as I'm aware, I mean, again, I don't believe anything. I research everything and see what patterns come up and see how it all connects. So I don't want to say that I 100% believe something, but I will say that I do resonate with Bob Lazar's claims. Now, I haven't looked too deeply into them and picked them apart, but I read a lot of Michael Sala's work, and he's done a very good job at bringing in a lot of these perspectives and meshing them together in his books. So, yeah, I mean, for now, totally dig it. Share more about my secret space program movie. Above Majestic, man, that was quite an amazing... I mean, we've been working on that for like a year and 3 months. Because the very first interviews that we got for Above Majestic was William Tompkins. William Tompkins was the first person I interviewed. And we didn't even know at the time. I interviewed him last July, a month before he passed away. Last interview he ever did. And we just felt like we got this intuitive hit that we need to get him on camera now. So we did. I interviewed him, and we didn't even know that that interview was going to end up in this movie at that time. We didn't even know this movie was going to be made. We didn't have any plans for it way back then. And funny enough, the way the divine universe, the way God operates, we actually lost half of the footage and the files for William Tompkins, and we didn't know where they were for like 4 months, 5 months. We only had one of the angles on his face, and we didn't even have the audio. The audio we only had was from the camera, not from the recorder. And we were like, shit, we felt so bad for misplacing his footage. But then in December, I found it. I found his footage. I was at a business partner of mine's house, and I just like picked up this random SD card, put it into my computer, and then boom, I found all of the files for William Tompkins. Now, the reason I say that it was freaking divine is because if we would have had those files before, we probably just would have put them out on YouTube or do something with them that, you know, wouldn't have amounted to much. But the fact that we lost those files for 5 months and then found them at the time when these plans for a movie was getting drawn up, it was like it was meant to happen, that we weren't going to put those files out anywhere else, and then we found them right when the movie was starting. So boom, plug it right in there. It was just a very interesting experience, you know, a lot of weird synchronicities, truly. Look for those synchronicities in your lives, because that is God talking to you, your own higher self leading you in the direction that you're supposed to be going in. So yeah, there was that, and then this year, a lot of the traveling I did this year was to go to conferences, to not even speak at the conferences, but just to interview people. And went on a road trip to go interview a bunch of people up and down the West Coast. So every single interview in Above Majestic was me on the other side of the camera asking them questions. So it's pretty surreal to watch that movie, because I did all the interviews. So it's going to be, I'm really excited. I haven't seen the final cut, so I'm really stoked to see that when it comes out. Please don't look into anyone as a savior. Fantastic comment. Fantastic comment. You're your own damn savior. That's it. You're your own savior. That's what all the gurus, all the prophets, all the people in history that got to any sort of, spiritual leader position were trying to tell you. At least the honest ones, the good-hearted ones. They were trying to tell you that you save yourself. And all the books out there, all the holy books, holy scriptures, all the philosophical books, all this is just tools. They're all tools to help you save yourself. Now, I see a lot of people asking about Greer. I'll give you my honest thoughts on that. I won't shy away from any topic. My thoughts on Greer is that he's done a lot of great work. I have learned a lot from his Disclosure Project content, but there are big issues I disagree with him with. Dr. Greer says there are no negative extraterrestrials outside this planet. All the evil is just contained to this planet. All the beings out there are all positive. I think that's bullshit. I think polarity is a natural law. Polarity isn't going to stop at our atmosphere. There's going to be negative and positive entities out there. So I think that's very foolish to say. And also, some of Greer's past connections, his connections to the Rockefeller Initiative, connections to Podesta, could be connections there. So just think of these things. Reconcile them. Limited hangout. Understand what a limited hangout is. And then look at people and see if they fit into that category. Whether they are willingly or knowingly or unknowingly fitting into that category, Have we lost Gaia Network? Again, there's still a lot of great information Gaia puts out. There's some documentaries on there that, unfortunately, they bought the rights to, so you can't find them anywhere else. So I still have a Gaia account to watch them, but I also know what a limited hangout is. And when I watch Gaia and see some of the stuff they put out, there's a lot of things Gaia doesn't say. When they invited me to go film at Gaia on one of the shows last year in September, they asked me to give them a bunch of topics that I could talk about that I'm familiar with. And I gave them, secret space program, health, I can talk about these things. Then I put some political stuff in there. I said, I can talk about WikiLeaks and Seth Rich and, Pizzagate, all this stuff. They said, nope, you're not going there. We don't talk about that on Gaia. Oh, okay. Limited hangout. Greer is not naive, somebody says. He truly understands the UFO issues. Well, if he's not naive, then he is purposely misleading us. So I hope he's naive, because I don't like to be purposely misled. I just think it's horseshit when anybody says, all ETs out there are negative. No. All ETs out there are good. No. Come on. Logical thinking. There's benevolent ones, there's malevolent ones. Cool. Let me go back through and look at some of these super chats. There's a lot of comments here. Do I think the Law of One and Emerald Tablets contradict each other? Not at all, actually. I think the only Emerald Tablets I've studied is the Kybalion, which is one person's interpretation of the Emerald Tablets. I haven't studied the Emerald Tablets themselves, but what's funny is that when you look at the Emerald Tablets and you actually look at the figure Thoth, Thoth was depicted in Egyptian hieroglyphics as a blue bird. Reconcile that. And what are some people's ideas of who the Law of One was written by? Shoot. It'll only let me go so far back in the comments, so I missed some of those super chats. It's tough. It's really tough, guys, because there's so many comments that flow through that it's really difficult to get them all. Cool, I'm going to hang out for a couple more minutes. Is this some Ancient Aliens type shit? Not at all. Ancient Aliens is tame. And they don't even get into the real hardcore stuff. Let's see here. Is there a specific topic for this live stream, or is it a free-for-all? Usually it's just free-for-alls, but I should start making them more topical so we can get deeper into subjects and keep it on the mark. Heard anything on NXIVM? That's a really good. Yeah, that's a really good topic. Great question. Yes, I've heard some stuff on NXIVM. I've heard that some of the, I don't even know what we would call them. Some hearings began a couple of days ago. That's what I've heard. I've also seen news stories going around that one of the women that was alleged to be a part of NXIVM is still out there. She's still health coaching, and she's actually speaking at an upcoming health conference that's in New York, I believe, it's in New York. It's in the Northeast somewhere in early November. So, what's her name? Hold on. I got to look this up right now. Let's see here. Probably going to get my YouTube feed cut. NXIVM. Ex-NXIVM member. Let's see here. No. News. NXIVM doctor who branded women still practicing during investigation. Accused NXIVM sex cult women brander still practicing medicine. Dr. Danielle Roberts is accused of branding women with NXIVM. She's still practicing medicine in New York and is said to be spreading NXIVM teachings at health expos. So that's interesting. I'll talk about that in my next one of my next videos. Dustin Demos. Yeah, I've been meaning to get on a talk with him. What up, Joe Pod from Twitter? All right, guys. I'll take a couple more questions and I'm going to head out today. The alert will be in a little less than an hour away now. Peter Maxwell Slattery. Yes, I met him at ECETI a few months ago. He's a cool dude. He's a really cool dude. And he filmed he was filming a documentary that he interviewed me in. I'm a big fan of Peter and Maxwell Slattery. If you want to see UFO photographs that are some of the clearest, even daytime depictions of flying objects, look at Peter Maxwell Slattery. He's been having contact for a few years, and this dude gets photographs that are so clear. It's amazing. Do I think anything important in today's alert? Of course, I think it's important. I don't think it's going to be, that mass arrest event that we're all waiting on and hoping on, but it's absolutely important because they're going to be testing whether or not this broadcast system can be tampered with. So that's why they're letting it go for a half an hour. So I'm sure there's going to be all sorts of, white hats trying to hack in and test hacking. So Jordan Sather is cancer for your brain. That's funny. My opinion on martial law. I mean, I don't know exactly what you want me to discuss in regards to martial law. If you were to ask me about martial law back in 2014, my opinion on it would be far different than now, because like we've been talking about, there's different people in charge, in control now. So if you were to ask me about martial law in 2014, I'd be like, oh shit, pack your bag, they're trying to round us up in FEMA camps. Now if you ask me about martial law, I'd be like, oh shit, pack your bags, they're arresting the traitors. Do I think the Indonesian tsunami was on purpose? I don't think the Indonesian tsunami was on purpose. There was the earthquake that went off that spurred it, and there's been a lot of activity in that region. One of the volcanoes in Indonesia just blew up the other day as well. So it's just a hot spot for earth activity, and earth activity is increasing. Earthquakes getting more prominent, volcanoes getting more prominent. There's a lot of earth changes going on, guys. That'll be kind of the last subject that I'll talk about before I head out. All of the earth changes. So, big subject. Let's attack it from the electric universe angle. So, electric universe. There's a etheric field that connects everything. We live in an electric cosmos. Electricity is what makes gravity, essentially. And our solar system is moving into a much more, we could say, electric region of space. I mean, there's so many electric changes going on with our solar system. The sun is changing, our earth is changing. There's so many pieces of evidence to show that, with noctilucent clouds and our magnetic system weakening and all sorts of things going on our Earth. Saturn has this big hexagon on its pole and it glows. Like, what the hell is going on with that? So there's a lot of changes happening. And this all has to do with, call it 2012 or call it ascension or call it the shifting of the ages, going into a new time. And some of the symptoms of these changes include Earth activity, include earthquakes, volcanic activity, and things of that nature. So it's good to be prepared, be safe, have your emergency supplies on hand, and somebody mentioned Antarctica. If I get into Antarctica, I'll be talking for hours. Pretty sure the Earth has always changed for millennia. It's the way our cosmos operates. It goes through cycles. Goes through cycles. It's one of the natural laws. Everything is cyclical, right? Simply what's going on right now is that we're at the ending of a cycle and the beginning of another. And oh man, it's complex. I don't want to get into it right now. My brain is not there. Where's the EBS test? It's coming. All right, guys, I think that's going to be it for this one. 333 likes on this video. Nice. Appreciate it, guys. I'm going to head out. I will be back, do another one of these live feeds from, I'll do it from Irvine this weekend. Probably Friday night or Saturday. When I'm there, I'll go live. So take care, guys. Thanks for tuning in this morning. Be back with a lot more content this week. 333 is a Satanist number. Okay, last topic. Let's talk about symbols and numerology. Symbols and numerology are neutral. They are neutral, okay? It's all about the context and the intention behind them. All these, there's so much fear porn getting put out there about Satanists and demons and all this stuff. It's like these trolls are trying to attack people's insecurities in that realm. You can have one of those spiral symbols. Those spiral symbols were found all over in ancient people's work, in hieroglyphics and cave writings and things like that. Now, if I see a spiral on Comet Ping Pong in Washington, D.C., the context of that spiral is far different than a Native American cave painting from 1,000 years ago, right? So, symbols are neutral. It's all about the intent. Numbers are neutral. It's all about the intent. If you see, JFK getting assassinated on the 33rd parallel in Dallas, that 33 means a whole lot different than if you see an 33 or an 1111 or something like that, right? So think critically about these things, guys. Anyway, that's it for this one, guys. Take care. Have a great day. Talk to you soon.